Alright, good evening everybody. Welcome to this evening's stream. Probably shouldn't say this evening or evening twice in the same sentence, but there we go. Welcome. Welcome to George as well, and also Frank is here as well. Evening, going to be watching this stream, sat on a train, hopefully won't miss too much. Oh nice. Where are you off to? Is it good Wi-Fi? That's the big question. Is it good Wi-Fi? That is the only question when you get on a train these days, is it late and is there good Wi-Fi? But yeah, welcome to this evening's stream. I'm going to transition over into the game and let the music start playing, and then we'll start chatting about what is actually going to be happening tonight. So, this is Bahecity Central Station. It's technically on the border between Trentborough, Senningbury and Grenninghead Cross, although all three of those areas will probably have their name changed, because I don't think they've been named. If people support me on Patreon, these are the areas of the map that you get to rename. So all of the areas of Bahecity within this box that you see on screen right now. The only ones that you can't rename are Thorngate, there's another gate, Sargate, and there's another one, Brookside I think is the other one, that have already been named. But all the other ones are up for grabs, essentially. So you know what to do. If you want to be able to rename those, you have to support me on Patreon for 3 consecutive months. At least, I think it's $10 a month. Don't hold me to that, though, because I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. It's GWR service running on time. Well, that's important as well. It'd be one of the... Oh, if it's one of the 800s or 802s. I think he said 801, but they're only LNER. Yeah, if it's one of the 800s or the 802s, very nice. I'm yet to actually see one in the flesh, never mind ride on one. So, one day that will happen. But yeah, I want to introduce you to something new on the network, and it's something that was suggested on my Reddit. Let's see if I can find the post. So I put my post up on my Reddit community just over a week ago, asking for ideas. On there I've had 3 ideas, and on the comment from last week's stream, there's an idea there as well. All 4 ideas pretty much have been taken on board. If you go onto the episode plans, you'll see that the next few streams have been planned out, as well as a couple of 0.5 episodes as well. So the rebuilding of Munfingford, Nuthill and Beffingway. I'm going to record all of those as time lapses and upload them between streams, just so I'm not doing the same rebuild for like 2 hours, because I mean, it's fun to do when I'm actually doing it, but on stream I think I could do something a little bit more entertaining, so we'll see about that. Yeah, the ideas for this one is a build of the main line between Wenningpool and Bahecity. So you're on an 800, very nice. Keep us posted on what it's like. Genuinely interested in what it's like, the new 800s, because I've heard things about the seats are too hard, they don't line up with the windows. The diesel engines, if you sit directly above them, can be a little bit uncomfortable. So I'm genuinely interested. Keep us posted on that. So yeah, tonight's stream is going to be build new section of the Bahecity Commuter Belt between Fort Bredborough, Celestial Airport and Wenningpool Acidalia. Focus on first phase between Fort Bredborough, Celestial Airport and Branningley Market. And then the second part is to plan out new routes that will join the BCB. So for those of you that don't know, Bahecity is the second largest city, inverted commas, on the map, because it's technically made up of loads of smaller cities. As you can probably tell, Guard City is the main city, Guard being French for station. Bahecity is the second largest on the map, with Bar being German for station. So that's where the origin of the name comes from. And yeah, this is Bahecity Central. The more I look at this, the more I think it's tiny. It's not a very big station, so we'll have to maybe make it a little bit bigger. Plus there's no metro at the moment in Bahecity. There may never be metro in Bahecity. It might all be buses and trams. We shall see. But this is the hub. This station over here as well at Fort Dronford, down here at technically you're going to be Bahecity Tarnley. I'm going to rename you now so I don't forget. I will check the chat again in just a second. We've also got Bahecity Brookside over here. We've got Bahecity Thorngate, which is just Thorngate. That's a through station. A lot of trains are actually going to pass straight through there. And then to the south here, we've got Bahecity Hardham. To the west here, we've got Bahecity Senningbury. And then we've got Bahecity Rinfingley Airport T1, which is actually where a lot of the high-speed services from Guard City are actually going to terminate. So they'll go straight through Bahecity. They will stop at Bahecity Central. They'll probably skip through the other platforms, the other stations, and they will terminate down here. First group has one West Coast franchise, including a daily service to Walsall, a third Shrewsbury service, an extension of Wrexham service to Gabowen, is that how you pronounce it, and a summer service to Llandudno, and replacement of Voyagers with bimodes for Chester, Shrewsbury and North Wales. Why? The Voyagers were built for that. There's nothing wrong with them. EMUs for Liverpool and Blackpool. Okay, and a second Liverpool service per hour and a stop at South Parkway. Acceleration is good on electric, seats are a bit hard. I don't notice the diesel engine anymore than a Voyager. That's fair enough then. Yeah, don't replace the Voyagers. Why does every franchise have to involve new trains? It's just so stupid. What a waste of money. But yeah, that's me being extremely opinionated on that subject. It is a ridiculous thing though when you think about it. Like, yeah, you can't even put it in words. It's just stupid. You don't have to replace everything every single time. It's just, yeah. Me and my dad were actually talking about this yesterday because he commutes to London into Moorgate, and he was telling me about the old trains pretty much on their last legs now, the 313s. And I said to him, do you think if they took those trains away for like 6 months, put them in a workshop, completely refurbished them, and brought them back into service, do you think the everyday person would notice that they're the same old trains, or do you think they would be new trains? And then tell them they're new trains and see if they believe you, and then tell them, actually, these are the trains that have operated on this line for 40 odd years now, and then watch their reaction as they suddenly go, hang on, what's this old stuff? I want new. It's like a placebo effect, effectively, and that's why I think it's ridiculous. Because the D train has proved that you don't have to be a new train to be considered a new train. It's all about psychology. Where was I going? Oh yeah, so Bahecity Commuter Belt. So from Bahecity Central, also down as far south as Bahecity Rinfingley Airport. Don't think we'd go any further south. This motive power depot is going to get demolished, by the way. We're going to move it somewhere else. But heading north, this is the northern commuter belt. Hopefully cross country will take the 221s off the west coast. They could go to cross country, but the problem was with cross country is they can't operate on the Cornish coast, Devon coast line. So that doesn't fix the problem for me. The solution, I think, would be take all the HSTs and put them on cross country, and then take all the Voyagers and put them either on the short haul routes on cross country, or award them to another franchise like, for example, the West Coast. Because, okay, they might not be able to go as fast on diesel power in and out of Euston, but when you get to places like Crewe, where you diverge off to Chester, or if you go to Shrewsbury, or even if you cross under the Severn into places like Cardiff, it's not electrified at the moment. So instead of this bimode rubbish, which really doesn't improve an existing diesel design, and it certainly doesn't improve a current electric design, it's just taking the best bits of both of them and smushing them together into a train that, I mean, besides the 802s, which are a slight improvement, the 800s can't climb the hills on the Cotswold line, which is why they're not used on the Cotswold line. Or if they are used, they're used in pairs. You know, just these people need to think about it for a minute. Just sit and think about it instead of submitting a bid with a promise that they will not be able to keep. There is no way in hell that those new trains will be able to enter service when they've been, well, when we've been told they will. Impossible. Will not happen. And breathe. Tranquility. That's ironic. We're talking about something with the name Tranquility after that little outburst. This is like the first main hub for the commuter belt. So you can see already there's diverging lines. There's two little branches here. Some diverge. I think these are the terminating platforms, these four here. Plus we've got these four down here, which are for the branch that we have mapped out. And the reason many weeks ago now I said I wasn't going to build this set of branch lines that we planned out is because I did kind of had this commuter belt idea in my head. And I wanted to see where we were going to go with that before I committed to building these branch lines, because it could well have ended up being integrated, which, you know, it now has been integrated. So this is actually the east coast line. It will continue following this route like so, and then we get over to here and then it will start heading north. So that's technically not part of the Bahecity Commuter Belt, although the line as far as the junction over here at Kingston and Fruitingville and Suddingworth, that might be part of the commuter belt. We'll have little shuttle trains running backwards and forwards between Bahecity and that place. What we're going to focus on now, though, is we keep following this line up. We've got another little hub station here at Supernova, Slunford Supernova. We cross under the TransRapid line for the first time. Go up and over the hill here. Cross under the TransRapid again for the second time. And then we hit this place here, which is Fort Bredborough Celestial Airport. This is where the high-speed line diverges from the commuter belt. And this is why this was chosen as that location, because it's also got a nice interchange here with the TransRapid. The more I look at this, the more I think the airport actually could be built here with the bus station here, and then there'd just be a little walk between, like if this were to be built for real, there'd be a little walk between the two. That might work better, because having the airport over here feels a bit stupid. You can actually build a pretty big airport in this site here, so we'll see about doing that. And then yeah, the high speed line branches off and you can see it goes into high speed mode. And then on this side here, this is where the commuter belt continues, and currently it stops here at Frontfield. Today we're going to take it up as far as, what was it again? Brunningley Market. That's the one. So if I follow the line here, literally follow it north, Brunningley Market is, I feel like that's the high speed line I'm following there and not the, yeah, so Brunningley Market, so there'll be another junction here, and then Brunningley Market is there, and this is the old TransRapid line, which our commuter belt will then start following. You can kind of see it deviates a little bit to go around the lakes and between cities and things like that. But essentially we're going to be following this route right up here to Wenningpool Acidalia. And that'll be the end of the Bahecity Commuter Belt. I mean, technically we're so far away from Bahecity at this point that it's not really considered commuting anymore. It's more like a day trip, but you get what I mean. So we're going to try and follow this white line as close as we can throughout this as we're building this line. I'm also considering, so currently on this section the high speed lines or the express lines are in the middle, fast lines, and then the slow lines are on the outside. Once we get to this junction here, I'm actually considering putting the slow lines together on one side and then the fast lines together on the other side. I think that will work better with what I've got planned in terms of junctions and stuff as well. So for example, up here we've got a junction. Wouldn't it be easier, I mean, with the bridge, oh, that's perfect placement. We'll get rid of this industry and we'll just put the line under there, and then we can just connect the two lines that converge here. We can connect them with the slow lines, which I think will be on the inside, so on the right hand side here, the east side. There's the word I was looking for. And then we'll continue up to the north. That to me sounds like a plan. So, usual thing, guys. Any chat, questions, comments, concerns, observations, any other synonym for any of those words I've already said, feel free to say in the chat. We'll try and get some conversation going. I did read the Reddit post that was posted yesterday. You might have also seen, if you follow my Reddit community, which I hope you all do, because there's no excuse not to, but if you do, you'll have noticed I've been testing a new scheduling, Reddit post scheduling feature, which I think is awesome. I'm trying to remember the name of it. I think it's Conit, something like that. I will start posting links to it, actually, because especially if you're a content creator, one of the problems I had when I was posting videos is I wasn't always there when it went live in order to be able to post the link to it on Reddit. And actually, I tried in the past to just post the link in a Reddit post, and then when it goes live, you'd be able to follow it. But that doesn't always work. Sometimes YouTube does weird things with if you share a link before the video goes live. It just does weird things. So that wasn't always working. So I had a look at was it possible to schedule Reddit posts, thinking it wasn't going to be possible, and it turns out it is possible. So I have started using that now as well. So all my videos this week, I think, apart from the Factorio ones, they've all been posted on Reddit. So hopefully you guys have been watching all the other series as well. So Euro Truck started this week. Planet Coaster, I did a big finale to the rebuilding of Bandito on Planet Coaster this week. Next week we actually start building a new ride in the park, so that's awesome. What else? RimWorld, that's still getting posted, and I'm sure there's something else. There's always Resort Boss Golf, yeah, that's back as well. So there's lots of awesome stuff on the channel, so it'd be really awesome if you guys were to watch it. Alright, let's just tunnel under here. Feeling a bit lazy. So yeah, around this area. So we are going to cross over the high-speed lines again. And perhaps during this crossover is where we will like cross the fast lines and the slow lines. So the fast lines are currently on the inside. So we just need to get the fast lines onto the west side. Okay, yeah, I think I've got a way of doing it. So like I said, guys, really active chat tonight. We've done our work to promote the stream. Now we've got to make it actually interesting for new people. Because that's the other thing, is if people join a stream and no one's talking, they don't stay around for very long. So we need to entice people to want to stay. Here, I'm going to cut that back a little bit and go up. And we're going to go over, like so. So this one, you're going to go like that. You're going to go like that, I think. And then you're going to go like that, and we'll sort the other one out in just a second. So you are slow line. You can be... just build viaducts for all the lines. Might as well make it standardized. Like that. I already thought there was a lot of services from London to Liverpool, but apparently not. I've never taken a train direct from London to Liverpool, so that's probably why I didn't know. I don't like reading about new franchises now, because it's never smart. It's always dumb decisions made by people that probably shouldn't be in that position in the first place. And it always ends up backfiring, and then it always fuels the argument of privatization versus nationalization, and it's just so avoidable. The whole thing is just so avoidable. And it's incredibly irritating to see it constantly happen over and over again. Because as I said last week, I'm no expert on the subject, but when someone who's not an expert can start predicting what's going to happen before it happens, that's when you know that stuff is bad. And right now, stuff is bad. Yep, the paces are going. Has anyone here entered that thing where you can decide the fate of the Pacers? I wouldn't really know what to suggest for them, to be honest, because I think it's a little bit... They deserve better than just to become a classroom somewhere. But at the same time, that's a good use for recycling something. Plus, I reckon something like that would actually get more kids interested in upcycling and recycling. The fact that they're seeing an example of it right in front of them. I think that's a pretty cool idea. The community centre one I thought was a little weird. Wasn't there one for like a dance hall or something inside a Pacer? You're not going to get much dancing done in there. Even if you take all the seats and stuff out, there isn't that much room. Again, I'll believe it when I see it. I don't want to ban talking about franchise awards, because how hypocritical is someone to ask people to talk and then decide what they can and can't say. But at the same time, I just am so tired of it. So tired of it. The reason I like my railway magazine so much is they do talk about franchise awards and they do talk about the new trains that have been ordered, but the editor at the moment is basically of the same opinion as me. And you see all those new Crossrail trains that aren't being used at the moment because there's no Crossrail for them to run on. That's a very good example of why you shouldn't just go gun-ho ordering new trains left, right and centre. I've joined the Pacer Preservation group. Yeah, we should preserve them. Didn't I? Was it last week or the week before? Why I said about they might not have been the most loved trains in the country. They might not have been the most liked. They certainly weren't the best designed or ran, but they were a crucial part of our railway history, and that should go rewarded. You know, that should be something that we look back on in 50 years' time and say that saved our railways, essentially. So yeah, preserve them. And I don't think we should preserve just one. I think we should have at least one of each class. So the 140, the 141, all the way up to 144. I think the 140 is still around. Or it might be the 141. But I think we should have like 2 or 3 from each class. And there's enough there that are in good working order still that is possible. What do you think has been the worst decision in a rail franchise you have ever heard of? Well, they're not actually a franchise, but Eurostar scrapping the 373s. That was dumb. That was really dumb. But yeah, I can't really name just one, in all honesty. I don't like this conversation. It genuinely, like, as I say, I don't want to be telling people what they can and can't talk about, but it is so depressing just to think what this country has turned into. I'll focus on just railways because that's what people are here for, but the whole thing is just so bad. They're not being scrapped, 707s. They're being replaced, but that's not... This is where you got to be careful, because they didn't order them. They're inheriting trains essentially that they don't want and getting rid of them, which is not the same as if they'd ordered them and scrapped them, which again, they're not being scrapped. But yeah, I don't want to... I want tonight to be an uplifting stream. I don't want to just talk about how bad everything is. It's so frequent now that we talk about that, and it's not fun. It just isn't fun. And I don't like the fact that that's all people want to talk about. So I'm going to kind of make it a rule. No politics, no religion, and no franchise agreement conversations are allowed on this channel. National Rail Museum are taking 142001. Others will be saved. The 140 is in Scotland. Yeah, I had a feeling there was a heritage line that already had the 140. Forgot the number then. That's good. I should say, like, I've been recording videos this week, so I've been recording Planet Coaster and some other stuff. Mainly doing time lapses and editing videos and stuff like that. So I've got enough content for the next few weeks. And the reason I've been doing that is because I've just changed my role slightly at XVI. So originally I was just, host of the podcast, and I made the logos and the thumbnail. I didn't make the logos. Kurt made the logos. I made the thumbnails. That's what I meant to say. I made the thumbnails and all the social media posts and built the website and stuff like that. But we've had a bit of a rejig and a restructure now because we're gunning to get our first project off the ground. So I've become a pixel artist, which means a lot of my work that I'll be doing for XVI will be in the game, which is quite exciting actually when I think about it. And I've also, with the new PC, I think I mentioned this last week as well, I've downloaded the Unreal Engine and I've actually started making my own game. I'm not going to reveal too much about that right now because it's kind of, as with everything I do, there's always an element of secrecy to it. But stay tuned because there will be announcements as and when that's developing. It will be released under the XVI name, so don't look for it under M4J. But yeah, so I've been looking into like a lot of tutorials for game design and stuff, so my head's a bit fried. It's one of the reasons why I sound a bit out of it a lot of the time, because I've rewatched a couple of these streams, and you can kind of tell I've had a hard day of slogging. So like today I was doing pixel art for a lot of the day, but I've also been doing some of the Unreal stuff. So at this point I just want to do something simple, which is what this stream was, it's ideal in that sense. Building in this is a lot simpler than trying to code a game, that's for sure. So yeah, that's why I sound a bit out of it. I'm fine in myself, good health and all that, but just a bit overwhelmed by the Matrix right now. And that's why I want like nice, happy discussions on the stream as well, because yeah, I'm not saying it again. I'm not saying it again. I've said my piece. You guys are all on board, I hope. Let's talk about good things. Let's not talk about what's making everything crap right now. You're the fast lines here actually, so that one can be that type, and then you can be just viaduct. I don't want to put people off talking. We can talk about preservation and stuff because that's a good thing. But yeah, I kind of feel like most weeks, I kind of feel like people have been sat on questions for the whole week waiting to ask for my opinion on it, and I don't have a problem with that necessarily, but it's become a regular thing now where it's like, oh, this bad thing's happened. What does M4J think about it? A lot of the time I couldn't care less, to be honest. This country somewhere exported to Iran. At least 1143 is expected to be saved. Yeah, I mean, a lot of our old trains have been exported over the years. 150s, I think, 156s. A lot of the prototype rail bus designs were exported as well. Some have been built, some haven't. That is something that we should look to get into doing again. There's been a lot of talk about the old 185s going to Ireland. That wasn't... I mean, it wasn't confirmed, and now it's pretty much been scrapped. But I actually liked that idea. I thought it was a good idea to do that. It's whether or not countries want hand-me-downs, essentially, and a lot don't these days. Yes, I've just carved a hole through the town. Don't worry, there's a plan behind this. Yeah, this bit needs to be redone as well. Okay, so the fast lines are on the west side. Let's just build a little land bridge across here. So from here down to there, and then from there up to there. And then this one's going to go over a little bit further, like so. So the whole time we're doing this, I'm putting in stations like the one I'm about to build, where in theory trains can terminate and reverse direction. So this one, for example, is going to be like that. I am going to carve a little bit further into the lovely town of Kingston here, that have been so nice and patient as I come through with my bulldozer and just kablamo everything. So we're going to essentially have 2 platforms on the east side, one on the central track here, one on the central track here, one here that could be used by both fast and slow, and then through lines here, and then another platform on this side. That's what the design for this station is going to be. Plus, is there a junction here? I don't think there is actually. I think that's just where the high-speed line was originally going to pass through. How far away are we from... Actually, we're not doing too bad. Yeah, I tried to be a bit conservative with this one, because I had this horrible feeling that it would take the full 2 hours just to build the first bit of the line. But I think actually I was too conservative. So we'll see. If we've got time left at the end, we'll do some more building. But I think a lot of this, the second half of this stream, is going to be planning out for future builds. Alright, fast, fast, slow, and slow. We'll keep these one tile apart for the time being. Chat's gone very quiet again. As I say, like, if we're trying to get new people interested in the channel, mind you, I mean, I read something the other day that annoyed me. It's one of these like content creator advice things. So it's someone who I follow. Sometimes I like their videos, sometimes I don't. Usual thing, I won't say their name, but they tweeted out something the other day saying people who keep asking their subscribers to help them reach milestones, like, don't. Basically, the guy was saying don't do that, and if you are going to do it, at least give your subscribers an incentive to do it. And the reason I got bothered by it is because this guy, like, now it matters because he needs the full-time commitment, but not long ago when it didn't matter to him, that's when he became big and successful, and he got lucky. You know, he started posting videos at just the right time for the type of gaming that he was doing. And it's one of these forgetting your roots kind of scenarios where it's very easy to say don't ask your subscribers to help you reach milestones when you don't care about your milestones. But then every content creator should care about their milestones. You know, whether it's 1,000 subscribers or 100,000 subscribers or, you know, 1,000,000 subscribers, whatever it might be. If you're not caring about that, then there's a problem. Because, as I say, if you don't care about your subscriber count, and if you don't care about your like count and things like that, then you've either made too much money from it for it to be an issue, in which case you're probably going a bit stale, or you're not taking it seriously enough. So it's one of these. It's easy for you to say you've got 100,000 subscribers, you've probably never cared about your milestones. I don't know, it really irked me, that tweet. People in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. That's the kind of thing I think. Or, as I say, it's easy for you to say when you're not bothered by it. So on the flip side, there's people who I follow who I know have big support, and they're just as pumped when they hit each milestone, whether it's, you know, 100,000 subscribers, someone who I follow hit recently, and, you know, they're doing a celebration stream for that. And that's what you're supposed to do when you hit 100,000 subscribers. You're supposed to celebrate it. You're not supposed to just put some poignant post about, oh, but I didn't ask my subscribers to help me, because honestly, the numbers don't matter to me. That's just absolute bull. That's why I get really passionate about it. So every week I say about hitting 1,000 subscribers, because it genuinely does it. It will reward you guys as much as it will reward me, because I'm not that fussed about the advertising revenue necessarily. It'd be nice to have it back again, just to say I've got it. What I care about with the 1,000 subs is overnight YouTube basically forgot I existed. So what was it, February last year, wasn't it, where it all went south? 20th of February, I do remember the day. It's hard to forget something like that, because you know, went to bed on the 19th and I was a partnered channel. Woke up on the 20th and I'd lost my status, I'd lost my network affiliation, I'd lost access to audio libraries. Everything that I'd built my channel on for the last few years, I'd lost access to because of someone else's mistake, which we're not going to dwell on right now. So for someone to sit there and say that I have no right to be asking my supporters, you know, my viewers, to help me get to that milestone so I can have access to all that stuff again, it really is a sheltered life. You don't know what you're talking about, essentially, because it isn't the money at all. It's the status. It's the fact that to YouTube I don't exist right now. So that's why I care. That's why I'm always hammering home about getting to 1,000 subscribers. Because if I have access to all those resources again, the channel will only ever get better from there. And it's the mentality too. It's just that it's just nice to be acknowledged, you know. And it's nice to know that there are people out there that will do their bit. That's what it's all about for me. Because yeah, I know I hammer hard on people at times, but I really did build this channel around the idea of having a community of like-minded individuals. That's why I like this stream. That's why I'm always looking for excuses to keep this stream going, even when things aren't exactly going to plan. That's right. Okay, now I've got to make sure this all lines up. Two, 3, and 4. Right, anyway, I'm going to start waffling on for a bit. I might go a bit quiet now because I'm just going to focus on building. If anyone wants to chat, do so in the chat box. I'll always reply to it. I'll keep checking every so often. But particularly this area here, it's going to get a little bit fiddly feeding through all these towns and cities. So I'm probably going to go a bit quiet while I concentrate on that. Plus, it'd be nice to save my voice because I talk pretty much all day, every day. So hopefully we'll get some new people join the stream soon. Hopefully we'll get those who were already in the stream chatting again. That's not what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. Problem. I don't want to demolish huge parts of the town, but I feel like I'm going to have to here. Like, this bit of track is supposed to look like it existed before the railway. What did I say? This bit of track is meant to look like it existed before the town, not the railway. So you kind of have to do it like this. I don't know what I just bulldozed there. Hopefully nothing bad. I'm going to have to get rid of the road here as well, which I always hate doing. So I want to build this out to like here, and then lower the land down here and build it elevated. Actually, can I? Yeah, I could probably bring this back a bit further. In truth, I could probably do it back to here even. And then stick it on an embankment and a bridge. What is my favourite rail route and why? What in time having some loop lines? Oh yeah, no, we have that. We might do that with Bahecity as well, but Guard City does. Out of GSMA, there are some lines that loop back on itself. Out of Cadingbury Junction as well, there's lines that do that. Yeah, and it was inspired by the Waterloo loops. That really confused me the first time I went to get on one of those trains. I think I was going to Brentford to watch Stevenage play, and because it doesn't, obviously at Waterloo it doesn't say this train is for London Waterloo, but you get to like a certain point outside of London, you suddenly realise trains in both directions are going to Waterloo. How is that possible? And yeah, because it's a loop. Very sneaky is what I say to that. Very sneaky. I've learnt a lot about this. So there's a lot of rail franchises now, particularly out of Waterloo, where even though the train is going to Waterloo, so from Bournemouth, let's say, there's a train that goes to Waterloo, but it's a slow train, and they want people to get on the faster trains because then they get to where they want to go quicker. So they don't actually tell you it's a train for Waterloo until you get closer to London. So they might say it's for like Basingstoke or not Basingstoke. Is it Basingstoke? Guildford. I'm just going to say Guildford. There's a train that's for Guildford, and then once you get to Guildford, it turns into a Waterloo service. Very sneaky. Yeah, that Steam suggestion that was made, I'm sure I mentioned in a video recently, or in a stream recently, that was a thing that I was planning on doing. I remember talking about sleeper services, and I'm sure I mentioned Steam services as well. So if you are going to suggest ideas for the network, it benefits everybody if you follow some key criteria. So first of all, check that your suggestion hasn't already been suggested, because if there's one thing I hate, it's people that don't bother reading before posting, because I think the word self-centered can fit that quite nicely. The second thing is, if you're going to ask me to build routes between two areas of the map, so like I had a suggestion to build a line between Plenborough and Munfingford. I should have known where Plenborough was because it's the terminus of the high-speed line, but could you please tell me where those places are on the map, so when I'm scouting around to plan out the route, I don't spend 5 hours scouring the map, because don't forget, this map is the largest map size in this patch of the game. So if you want to help me out, tell me where it is. They're basically the two main rules, really, is no duplicates and help me help you kind of thing. Yeah, what's my favourite rail route? I don't really know. I don't think I have a favourite. I don't think I do. I have a problem with that as well. Like, I'm a member of the Reddit community for roller coasters, and it really winds me up when people keep posting their top 10s, because at the end of the day, it's so subjective. Like, you might have a good experience on a roller coaster that I've had a bad experience on. So your top 10 is yours and yours alone. And really, I don't care what people's top 10s are. I don't care that people think Nemesis is overrated at Alton Towers. I actually really like it. And I like it mostly because of the history behind it. And the fact that, you know, Alton Towers work within constraints that not many theme parks in the world have. Particularly, so, you know, people post things like, what's your favourite inverted roller coaster? And no one says Nemesis, because they're all Americans who've never been to Europe and have never experienced all the European inverted coasters. Which makes the question redundant, really, because unless you are asking people that you know have ridden every single one, how are you meant to get a fair share of data as to what people's favourite is? You can't, is the answer to that. So I think that's the same here with rail routes. I haven't ridden enough to be able to say this one's my favourite, because then I'll become one of those wishy-washy people that every time I ride a new route it becomes my favourite because I've never ridden it before. And again, I'm not a huge fan of that. Yeah, the roller coaster one really annoys me. Where it's the ones where everyone talks about. It's like Viva Rail when they first emerged. Everyone talks about them like they were the next big thing. I talked about them like they were the next big thing. And excuse me, they've had their fair share of train orders and things like that, but more companies still are ignoring them than accepting them. And actually, like my major interests, railways and the theme park industry, there's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of echoing going on. So there's quite a bit of crossover. It's a really long roundabout way of saying I don't have a favourite. I wouldn't even know where to start if I was to select one. It's an incredibly subjective subject. I'm already going to go slightly off kilter with this station here because, whoops, that was too far. Basically, Brandingley Market Station is going to be probably here, and we're going to have lines coming in from all cardinal points. So I want to make sure that there's enough space, first of all, for a massive station. So we're going to, again, bulldoze a lot of land here. Apologies for that to all these people here. Boom. And we're also going to flatten all of this land. I mean, how many platforms would that be? 18 minus 2 for the 2 through lines. So that's what, 16 platforms? It's not bad. It's not bad. I'll build it as far north as I can. We'll do it something a little like this. I think that was us 19. Alright, we're going to have 20 tracks, so 18 platforms, which isn't bad. I went on that Tuesday summer steam train from Waterloo to Windsor. It's not a long route, actually, is it? Waterloo to Windsor? Maybe it is. Oh man, the last rail tour I went on, wow, that must have been up to Newcastle, I think. Must have been about 15 years ago. Long time ago now. Long time ago. We're going to do another crossover here. Slow lines crossing underneath the fast lines. Something a bit like this, and then pass under, like so. About 1 hour 30. Yeah, less and less people are keen on the idea now because it holds up the rest of the network. So the Windsor branch isn't that busy, so it's not that big a deal. But elsewhere around the country, more often than not now, trains are getting held up by rail tours. That's my other thing. Like, I don't really get a kick out of riding on a train like most people do. I like to stand by and watch them go past more than I actually like to ride on them. If I go to a heritage line, you kind of have to go on a train at a heritage line. It's virtually the law. But everywhere else, I'm not that fussed a lot of the time. Not that fussed. Where's the middle track here? So this is... Oh, that's 19. Okay, that's 19. So, there. I think these two are the middle tracks. So this one and this one, you have to connect up to here. I don't think we've got anywhere near enough room for waypoints here. That's slightly irritating. I did this wrong. So it's actually that. We still don't have enough room for waypoints here. Unless we move... We can move the station further north, I suppose. That could work. So that's essentially how this is going to work. And then it will continue up to the northeast to its destination. What's stopping you? What's stopping you from going train spotting now? Whoops. Misclicking everything at the moment. Vintage Trains are planning more to Stratford on Avon from Birmingham. Yeah, they've got a proper operating license now, which I think is pretty cool. This part of the TransRapid I can remove, can't I? Because it doesn't actually go anywhere. I think. Is that right? Or maybe it's not. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, from there. That was close. The last thing I want to do... I mean, I can't run TransRapid trains at the moment anyway because of the order limit, but if I could, that would have been slightly problematic. Well, the only way to find out is to try. If there's one thing that Jeff Marshall's done, and he's done a lot of things, give him credit, he's kind of made train spotting quite cool again. Even though he himself is not a train spotter, he's like me. He's interested in railways more than he is trains. Like me, I'm not actually that interested in trains, which might sound surprising. I'm more interested in what they run on. So that's why I like watching rather than riding on trains, because you can actually, when you're riding on a train, you can't see it actually operating. Whereas when you're watching a train go by, you can see it, you know, the points moving and all the other trains around it, and there's just something about networks that I like. Yeah, it's all well and good to sit there and say I'd like to be a train spotter one day, or I'd like to go train spotting, but if there's nothing stopping you from doing it, go out and do it. And the whole wishy-washy thing of getting told off for train spotting, it's ridiculous. Like, you know, you have just as much right to be there as anybody else. If you buy a platform ticket, you're giving the company money. As long as you're not doing it for nefarious reasons, which I highly doubt you would be, there's no reason why they wouldn't allow you to do it. I've got more into railways, into trains, as the years have gone by. But even now, I'm still more interested in watching them from a slight distance than I am actually getting on board. That's not to say I wouldn't ride a train. It's still one of my ambitions. If I get really rich one day, I want to buy my own steam locomotive. Where I'd keep it, I've no idea. It will obviously be on residence somewhere, but just to be able to say I have my own, how cool would that be? Plus, it's probably the only chance I'll have in my life of being allowed on the footplate of a steam locomotive, is if I actually own it. Alright, so these are going to go like that, and then we'll go one out on these. Whoops. Something like that. And then the north bit here, it's going to be 4 wide rather than 2. And that's mainly so that we can build a junction so that trains can serve all directions. That's the thing, like my dream job, I don't think I have one, because I mean I have so many that it's impossible to pick just one. I'd like to own my own theme park one day, I'd like to own my own steam locomotive, I'd like to own my own business, which is another reason why I want the YouTube channel to be successful. But yeah, the steam locomotive one is a long time ambition. To actually be rich enough that I can buy my own steam locomotive and be able to go and visit it on an actual railway. And also to be able to go on Steam one day and see a game that I've helped make be on sale. That would be a cool one. What kind of PC have you got? Is it more powerful than mine? That's the question. Right, so that's that bit done. So these 2 lines here are going to head northwest. These 2 lines here are going to continue up towards Acidalia. And then on the fast lines, I have absolutely no idea how I'm going to design it. Alienware, crikey. I did look at getting those when I was looking at how much PCs would be. They are not cheap. That must have cost you a pretty penny. What do you use it for? Because really, with Alienware, unless you're running really high-powered programs, there isn't that much advantage you get from it. Which is why I didn't go with one. Because, I mean, my friend, when I was at school, came in with an Alienware laptop one day with the light-up keyboard, and we spent like an hour playing around with that. And then, you know, I started saying, so what other things do you use it for? And he was saying like, oh, if he's typing up something or whatever, and it kind of dawns on you very quickly that you're just going to use it as a normal computer then. Like, you're not really using it for what it was designed for. More RAM as well. So how much RAM have you got? Because, I mean, OpenTTD can use a lot of RAM, but not all the time. But hey, it's a lot smarter to get more RAM than it is to do what most people do and upgrade the processor, because that makes no difference when it comes to gaming, as I've mentioned before. I think this works as a design, because then these 2 platforms here can also be used by fast line trains. Yeah, my parents didn't help me pay for my PC. I had to do that all by myself. City skylines. Ooh. Okay. I'll bite my tongue. I mean, I've tried skylines on this PC, and it is better. I'll be honest, it is better, but not by a huge amount. Okay, so if I build this line to here, this is going to be a staggered station by the looks of things. Keeps crashing out of memory. You didn't need to buy a whole new computer just to fix that problem though. You could have just bought some RAM cards and put them in your motherboard. It's a bit like if your car keeps getting a flat tyre, so instead of replacing the wheel you just bought a whole new car. Yeah, you get a better car out of it, but it's not necessarily the smartest fix to the problem. If it's an old PC, then fair enough. I mean, the one that I use for editing is old. 6 years. 6 years? 5, 6 years? There or thereabouts. It's creaky bones and all that kind of stuff. The reason I've not just flat out gotten rid of it is because there's a lot of parts in that still work relatively well. Plus I upgraded the RAM at the start of the year, which I think was very well publicised on my channel when I did it. So I didn't need it. I didn't need a... Have I put this... Yeah, I think I put this line in the wrong place. Yeah, you got to be careful with computers. It's worth doing a lot of reading up, because chances are you're spending a lot of money on something that you don't actually need. It's like Alienware. You would have spent a lot of money just for the name. And you could have got like a Republic of Gamers or something like that for the same spec but a lot cheaper. How on earth do you scratch a motherboard? That takes some doing. Let's not do that. Let's just do this. I think that'll do with all the crossovers. We've got a lot of them, after all. Yeah, that should do it. So this is going to be our current limit for this this build. So if we just cross through these lines, because we're not going to be putting platforms on those. And that tells us how many sets of platforms we need. Okay, that actually works out quite well. And then you go there. You can be more island platforms. That one and that one. So I take it the PC you bought was an off-the-shelf one as well. No assembly required. I think something like this, and then this for these platforms, just to add a little more operational interest, you know. The display one. Okay, so you get a little bit knocked off for that. Well, my advice there would be use it for more than just skylines, because you will not get your money's worth otherwise. Alright, and then this will be for the slow lines down here. We are also going to have 2 sets of fast lines here, which means you are going to have to go across, and you are going to have to go across. Yeah, overall, that should be this station designed. So, how long have we been going for? An hour. Alright, so let's save, and then we'll start looking at adding some new lines to this, what we've built here. So, particularly at Bahecity, now that it's already been requested as well. Oh, I should have probably laid out the tracks for this station too, but there we go. I will use it for a lot of games, and I use my PC a lot, and uni. I mean, what are you studying at uni? Because unless you're doing something that requires 3D modeling or game engine work or, you know, advanced animation, you won't need it for anything high powered. Gaming, obviously, but I mean the reason I upgraded and got a new PC was because it was getting hard to stream and game on the same machine at the same time, and I still haven't actually tested streaming onto my old desktop from my new one. But that's the theory. That's how this should work. If it wasn't for that, I would have kept my old one and just keep upgrading it, because there's nothing wrong with it, and I couldn't justify the cost otherwise. 3D modeling. I mean, if you went to my uni and saw the PCs they were using for modeling there, it really isn't as high powered as people think it has to be. It's kind of a con in many ways. Right. I don't mean to rain on the parade or anything, because getting a new PC is always exciting, but you just got to make sure you're getting it for the right reasons. That's what's important. I wonder if you can schedule Patreon posts. I really need to start posting on Patreon more often as well. It's all well and good me asking people to support me on there, but there's nothing on there for people to look at. I'll have to get on with that. I've got so much to do and so little time to do it in. It's, yeah, even a new PC isn't going to dig me out of that hole. Right. So that's step 1 done. We have built the new section between Bahecity and Brandingley Market. So now we're going to map out and plan out new routes that are going to join the BCB. So the first one, obviously here, this line's been planned out, this line's been planned out. The next one, I feel like there should be one like over here somewhere. Yeah, it's called maintenance. That's what you have to do. So I slipped up on this a little bit over the last 12 months, but pretty much once a month I would take apart my old PC, spray it with compressed air, make sure all the fans were still working, piece it all back together again. Because at the end of the day I built it, so I knew how it worked. It's not as easy to say that with an off-the-shelf one, because the way they put them together it can be slightly different. Actually, here would be a good place to diverge. But as I say, it's very easy for me to sit and judge and say, you know, this is a good PC, this is a good, bad PC, what did you buy it for this reason for, and things like that. But as I say, my part of my role in XVI is justifying costs, and it's something that I've done in my own business as well. And you know, £1,000 on a computer is a lot of money. But yeah, defragmenting the disk is always a good way to get it to speed up. Checking your RAM allocation on certain programs is always a good way to get it to speed up. Things like that. Because you'll be surprised at how much of a difference that makes. Why did that not work? It's like I'm trying to think of a good example. There aren't many good examples really, but I always found getting a new computer was always the last resort. If everything else failed, then I would buy a new PC. And this was everything else failed. I tried streaming on my laptop, didn't work. Tried streaming on my old desktop, didn't work. I mean, it worked, but it was buffering a lot, as I'm sure those of you who have watched those streams will testify. So then the final solution for that problem was to buy a new PC and completely revamp my setup, which I have now done. To good effect as well, I should say. I actually don't know much about water cooling, in all honesty. I think those who I have seen do it, it's worked very well for them. I almost considered it for this one, but I guess my problem with it is I've heard too many horror stories of it leaking. Because if the water pipes inside the PC leak, like if it leaks outside, it's a little bit annoying, but you just sort of mop it up. But if it leaks inside and it gets into like the processor, it can be a complete PC breaker. But that happens very, very rarely now. So I actually think, you know, if you've got the setup for it and if you know how to build it and maintain it, I'd say it's definitely worth at least looking into. I just love the fact more and more people are building their own PCs now. It's the equivalent of back in the 70s and 80s, you'd buy a car and the first thing you'd do is pop the bonnet and tinker with the engine. And that's basically what people are doing now with computers, is they're buying ready-built computers or the parts to build computers, and then they're either assembling it themselves and you know, mixing and matching and creating their own unique machine, or they're taking something that already exists and then putting their own touch on it and making it a unique machine. I think that's a really cool thing to do. And it's surprisingly easy to build a computer. As I keep saying to my friends, if I can do it, I'm pretty sure most people can do it. Alright, so that line's already planned out. The one over here, so we're going to have a lot of lines that will... Oops, this is a good example. So this PC's got 32 gigs of RAM, and yet when I zoom out beyond where we were just now, it still takes a few minutes to process. So it's not necessarily a good idea to spend a lot of money on a better processor and a better RAM usage if the game you're playing is still very, very resource heavy. So yeah, back down here, we've built this new line that's going to, we've planned out this new line that's going to come over to here. We have already got these sets of branch lines, one of which continues north and connects to another main line over here, of which also then ends up coming over here and connecting up over there. So we're building lots and lots of connections. Another one I do want to do is over here at Fort Bredborough. Kind of want to plan out a line somewhere in this vicinity that actually loops around and joins up with this. So actually a straightforward cross-country thing like this would work well. And then curve in just before Frontfield, go to the west side of Wenningpool and then join up over there. Because then we can do, like Frank said, have trains that start at Bahecity, come out probably on the new lines, loop around and then go back and then have it reverse direction. So that's another one. I think we'll do like one or two more and then we'll take stock and start looking at what else we can do today. I don't want to build any more 4-track main lines today, because it's the reason why I used to do it in time lapses, is because I could watch a video or listen to music or something while I'm doing it, and it helps me concentrate. Like even now, there's music playing on the stream that you guys are hearing, but I can't hear it in my headset because it's coming through OBS. So I don't really have anything to keep me concentrating. Yeah, there's a lot of franchises. You might want to bear this in mind for your history spreadsheet. Spreadsheet? No, PowerPoint. There's a lot of franchises that don't actually exist yet that will do in the near future. So, like the North Valleys could be part of North Rail, or it could be its own franchise. I haven't decided yet. Plus, a lot of the... So out of Bahecity, you'll have things like Bahecity Connect, but then you'll also have Bahecity Express. And I think because there's more lines coming out of Bahecity than Guard City has, so they will probably be separate franchises rather than two arms of the same franchise. Andy, evening everyone. Just to seem like joining in the conversation, I built a new PC from scratch at the start of the year. It has water cooling and had no issues. There you go then. Bear in mind my experience with water cooling was from like 5 years ago when I built my first PC, and I was thinking of getting water cooling. And back then it was, you're taking a huge risk, because if it leaks, it's game over. Technology has come a long way since then. Alright, let's have that line terminate there. Actually, I might make it terminate in like a little embankment kind of thing there. So there you go, water cooling. I actually think, yeah, water cooling is a good idea. It's a very good idea. It works in cars. Why couldn't it work in a computer? Especially in my room. Like, air cooling is the problem. It's one of the reasons why my old desktop can't handle the heat at the moment, because my room is quite small, and it's got a hot water tank through one wall. It's got underfloor heating and a bathroom through the other wall, and it's just very enclosed. So even though I have the window open pretty much all year round, it still overheats because there isn't enough cool air actually getting into the room to then be sucked into the PC. Hell yeah, building your own PC. Especially when you tell people that you've built your own PC, you get that raised eyebrow look of, oh, very impressive kind of thing, which actually that sounded a bit patronising the way I said that. You know what I mean though. You do get that massive sense of achievement. And the first time I did it, I spent the whole time just feeling nervous, because if I broke it, that wouldn't have been good. But once I built it, I've actually built 3. I've built my old desktop, my new desktop, and I also built my brother's computer for him as well. And the only time nothing went wrong was when I built my brother's one. The first time I built my first desktop, I think the motherboard... What was it? There was something wrong. So when I went to boot it up, nothing happened. I think some of the wires might have been in the wrong sockets or something like that. Something went wrong and it didn't boot up, which was a little bit problematic, but you know, you get by. This new one that I built this year, the problem with that one was Windows wouldn't install because the disk was corrupted. So the actual files on the disk were fine, but the disk itself couldn't transfer the data. So I had to go onto my old PC and download Windows from that and then install it that way. Definitely do it. If you're considering getting a high-powered PC in the next few years, so like when this one that you've just got now starts giving up the ghost, or even if you want to just tinker with it, that's a good idea as well. In like 2 years from now, you want to install some more RAM on your current computer. That's a really good way of just opening up the case and seeing what's inside and where everything goes and how it works. You don't necessarily have to build your own in order for you to be able to do that, which I think is great. What is this line? Oh, it's the one from Nut Hill, isn't it? Yeah, okay. So Wantford is right there. Okay. That actually makes a lot of sense then to connect up this line to this line. We might even swing it round. Only issue was when cold starting the water cooling. Yeah, replace a few things if needed. So like my old desktop, I put new RAM in it at the very start of this year. The graphics card had to be replaced. Was that 2 years ago now? I think the graphics card gave up, so I had to replace that. And my first processor, something went wrong with it. I think it was from when we first built it, and it just somehow kept going for like a year or so, and then it gave up. But I've still got my old graphics card and my old processor. And I was thinking of doing this really cheesy thing. You know, like at the end of the first Iron Man film, where Pepper gives Tony Stark the little glass case with his first arc reactor in. I was thinking of setting up something like that. So somewhere on my desk or in my room, have a little glass cabinet with my first graphics card, my first processor. So every time something breaks and I have to replace it, it goes in the cabinet. Because it's all, effectively, the whole history of M4J sits in these computer parts. So it's worth holding on to, because there's a lot of history there. Even though the components themselves are as good as useless now. There's some really good stuff in there. Right. Yeah, I want to build a connection from Bahecity to Nut Hill. And I'm trying to think of a way of doing that. I think the best way to do it would be branch off this way, and then at Netberg maybe cross over, and then go down to Wantford. And that could be, actually that could be one of the, yeah. Alright then. We'll do that. So you're going to go across this way to Farfingley here, and then you're going to cross over the line here and join up there. No worries. It calls Ryzen 7 2700X OC 4 GHz. That's alright then. I've got a Ryzen 5 2600, so it's not as powerful. Kurt likes to rib me on that because I went for the slightly less powerful processor than what he has. Actually, this is where my lack of computer knowledge actually comes in. Ryzen 5 and 7, that is a processor, isn't it? Not a graphics card. Here's the thing. I'm an engineer. You give me components and I'll put them together, but I couldn't tell you what they were or what they did. Let's have a look. See. Sorry that you're just staring at something. So yeah, my graphics card is the ASUS Dual GeForce RTX 2060, and then my processor is the Ryzen 5 2600. So it's the graphics card where Kurt's got a slightly more powerful one. He's got the 2070, whereas I've got the 2060. But again, they're slightly different models, and one is, of course, more powerful than the other. But day-to-day life, you really aren't going to tell the difference. At least that's what I keep telling myself, so I can sleep at night. So how many lines have we actually got diverging from this now? I think it's 6. Depends on what you count. So this one here, this line is the main line. As you can see, there's a massive deviation. So this one here comes across over this way. Does it then split in 2 again? Oh god, I just tried to zoom out again. Brace yourself, people. Long load screen coming up. Yeah, so it splits again over here. So we'll call this 2. That then come down and connect up. And then we'll come up here. So that's 3. And then 4. 5. Even though this is kind of the same one, we'll count that as 5. And then 6, 7, 8. Is that all of them? I think that's all of them, because then we keep coming up this way. So we got lots of lines that cross over each other and stuff, but yeah. So we got 8. That's not bad. That's not bad going. So I think we'll put a pin in planning for now. Save the game quickly. I'll mark it off on the to-do list as well. And then we basically have half an hour to kill. So what do you guys want to see? Within reason. Like something that will fit within half an hour would be ideal. You can see in the top corner as well, by the way, I'm still, after all this time, still trying to get the Guard City Great Northern and West Winds trains back up and running. It takes a long time. The big problem is the money. So overnight now, if I'm leaving my PC on to do other things, I'll run a script to... I think I've shown you the script, where it just constantly left clicks on the add 10 million. So this will go up, but it only goes up by like 300,000. Not 300,000. What's this? 300 billion? Yeah. It only goes up for between 3 and 500 billion pounds an hour. Real life hour. And it goes down 300 billion pounds in about 20-30 minutes. So you can see where there's a slight imbalance, and I don't know how to fix it. And I know every week James Moten tells me to go and use the JGR patch because it doesn't have taxes and infrastructure costs and things like that. But that's not a fix as far as I'm concerned. That's just evading the problem. Any services we could plan out? Probably not, in truth. We've done the cross-country and the cross-region, which are going to get redone. Because I didn't do a very good job with them. Plus we've planned out more main lines now. So for example from Nut Hill, there's more lines that could be used for cross-country. The idea I feel with the cross-region services, so cross-country will use the conventional main lines, but I kind of want cross-region to use slightly different routes. The train will be able to go from A to B a lot quicker, but also B, it means lesser routes get served by better services, which is always a good thing. Plus, all cross-region services will start at Denston, whereas all cross-country services will pass through Denston. So there's a lot of differences there. So we need to build a lot more main lines before we can actually do the cross-country and cross-region. Yeah, even the routes that we've built recently, so the ones between Nut Hill and Wantford, there's not enough there still to actually plan out new services, because they're going to be part of a new franchise. They're not going to be part of Guard City Great Eastern. So yeah, there's not a great deal. Let me have a look at what next week is. So those of you that have checked out the episode plans, you'll know. So next week we're planning out the route between Munfingford and Plenborough, using the new southwest spur. So the one that hasn't actually been built yet, because we haven't rebuilt Munfingford. But if I scooch over to Munfingford, that's Cadingbury. So it's south. So there's Buntbourne. Here's Munfingford. So eventually, zoom in, this route goes down towards Drentbourne Retire. This route, as you just saw, goes up to Buntbourne Parkway in town. And this route is the Great Western route to Plindham Junction. But there's also going to be, when this gets rebuilt, the Great Western route will be repositioned slightly, so it won't slalom here anymore. It will just continue straight. And then there'll be a new line. So the slow lines, I think, are on the north side, so they'll swing around this way. And then there'll be the fast lines as well. This lake will get filled in mostly to allow that to happen. That will be the line that goes down towards Plenborough, which, actually, is that going to work? Because Plenborough is quite a long way east of here. Because we're currently west of Guard City and Plenborough is east of Guard City. So you have to go all the way across to get to it. So it might not go to Plenborough, but it will go south. It will go south. So yeah, I'm not going to plan out this route now because that's next week's stream. Plus we're also going to rebuild the eastern approaches over here. So we're going to remove the tunnel and we're going to reprofile this. We might lose Runton South Station whilst doing this, but I'm okay with that. Runton North is probably going to stay though, because those lines are pretty much where they're going to be. And then that'll be ready for the Munfingford rebuild, which is going to be episode 30.5. Episode 31, so the week after next on stream, we're going to be completely redoing the freight network. This was a suggestion from Frank Berry, actually, to well, I mean, the suggestion was to build a new freight network using trains, road vehicles, and boats, and I liked that idea. And one of my problems at the moment, so off camera, I think it's only been 2 days in the last 3 weeks where I've not had OpenTTD open, because I've been doing all these trains. One of the big problems when I'm trying to get this timetable to work is there's too many freight trains operating on this route between the Bahecity North Freight Terminal and Sindwood Industrial Park. So even though here there doesn't look like there's many, there's pretty much every other train on this route is a freight train. So you'll have passenger freight, passenger freight, passenger freight, and freight trains don't go as fast, so they're holding up all the passenger trains. So the best way to redo that is to have 1 or 2 services between all of the major freight terminals that we've already built, that carry vast varieties of materials, a bit like what we used to have, like mixed freight trains essentially. Also redoing some of it. So I wanted to have key freight corridors. So the Great Western Route is a key freight corridor between the west of the map and Bahecity, but all those trains currently come to here. I think what we actually have to do is send some of them south, down here, because this is much better equipped, and then have some trains that run from here round the freight loop and then onto the main line that way, so they're not all coming from the freight terminal onto the main line in the exact same direction, because that's how clogs happen. So yeah, we'll reroute some through to here. Plus we might get some cargo planes flying, and we're definitely going to use some ships now. The other thing I'm going to do, and again this is on the episode plan, is actually map out some industry chains. So maybe even using the map tool. So we've got the Grand Canal that we've built over the last, God, however many weeks ago that was now. But we've got things like, you know, there's an oil rig here. There's a dredging site here. There's loads of fishing sites basically everywhere. But then you've also got things like, you know, there's a clay pit. You've got a lumber mill, sawmill up there. You've got a paper mill over there. You've got bauxite mine. You've got more lumber mills, sawmills, farms, all that kind of thing. And we're going to go back to what we had with the Majeffries network, which is find key industries all around these areas. So we've got this massive coal mine here that has tons and tons of coal. And we're going to take all the coal from here and we're going to send it to 3 or 4 different locations across the map. So we've currently got a coal service that goes from Benpool Coal Mine over to Sindwood Industrial Park via Bahecity and Wenningpool Falls freight terminals. Why not get another coal train, not necessarily that starts and ends here, but starts and ends at Wenningpool Falls freight terminal, and then either goes down the coast here or goes up this way or somewhere else, like a power station or somewhere else that accepts coal. And then all of those industries, bring them back into a central location, because that's what Wenningpool Falls freight terminal is supposed to be. All the industries within like a 20-minute train journey of this freight terminal, it's meant to be like a central location, so that like all of these industries here, the trains will go to the freight terminal first, and they'll either drop off and then go straight back to their industry, or they'll continue on having picked up more goods from the freight terminal. That's what's supposed to happen, and it didn't happen because I rushed it. Essentially, I rushed getting it done. So we're going to completely redo it, and we're going to make it work. So that's in 2 weeks' time. And then the half episode after that is going to be a time-lapse of Nut Hill City Centre being rebuilt. And then, in 3 weeks' time, we're going to rebuild the Great Northern Route between Warnbridge Airport and Beffingway, including all the branch lines that span off that route. And we're going to get the Great Northern franchise up and running. We're also going to rebuild the North Valleys line between Warnbridge and Beffingway, because I think we did the North Valleys line between Sunnington, and Warnbridge, but we didn't do it along to Beffingway. And then we're going to plan out some more new branch lines along the Great Northern route and also along the North Valleys route. And then after that, we're going to rebuild Beffingway in the time lapse. So there's a lot of big projects coming up because a lot of people have said they want more big projects. So we're going to make that happen. But yeah, I kind of want people's feedback and opinions on this freight thing because, you know, we've got 2 weeks now before we actually do it, and I want to make sure that we do it correctly. So this freight terminal is built to fit a lot of trains, and I've actually done some tweaks to some of the routing here as well to make it a little bit easier to get trains in and out. And as you can see, there are lots of trains that are currently using this. So I want to make it work. I want to make it so that trains run faster, more efficient, things like that. One of my ideas was to electrify the freight services and actually run them up to the West Winds line and then down to Guard City that way. But to get them onto the West Winds line is actually very difficult, and I don't want them to go on the Western Reaches line because they'll hold up the passenger trains there, and I don't want to electrify the Great Western route because I'd much rather it remains as is. So I think it is going to have to remain diesel haulage. As you can see, these trains aren't double-headed, but all the other trains, so this one here, the minerals train, what do you actually carry? Scrap metal, recyclables. Yeah, that's it. You're double-headed, and all the coal trains are double-headed as well. So we could condense these mineral trains and coal trains into just one service that runs between Benpool and, or just runs between Wenningpool Falls Freight Terminal and Sindwood Industrial Park via Guard City North Freight Terminal, and then just have a coal train or a series of coal trains that shuttle between the coal mine and the terminal. The reason I've got it set up the way I have was so that every train in theory could make a profit, but I don't think in the grand scheme of things that actually works, because these trains, like if I show you on the timetable just how long they take, 20 hours to complete their actual schedule. And when you've got something that has as many stops as this, look how many ticks late it's running at the moment. It will never catch up to that timetable now. So it's better to have it operate in like shorter bursts. So linking all the freight terminals together would be one way of doing it. Shorter journeys would be another way of doing it, even though you do lose a little bit of money from that as well. It means you clog up less of your routes. Just little things like that to try and make it happen. Right, no one else has come up with some ideas for the stream, so we're probably going to end things here. I'll give you a couple more minutes in case someone does suggest something. But yeah, that's the roadmap essentially for the next few weeks. There won't be a week off like there normally is, mainly because I can't actually remember how long ago I came off my last break. Plus, one of the problems I always had was I kept saying like this week is my week off, but then I already had episodes that were uploaded and scheduled and they still went live during that week off. So instead of just saying I'm going to take a week off, I might just wait until like footage runs out, then I'll wait a week, then I'll start uploading again. Something like that, I don't know. It's not for you guys to worry about anyway, that's for me. But yeah, the other thing I want to do is get Wenningpool Falls, these platforms here, brought into use, because we've got 7 platforms here that currently have nothing serving them. And I know we're extending the 2 Great Western services from Woolworth. Or one's from Woolworth and one's from Gronville West. So yeah, I still need to do those. And then is there anything else? I think there probably is. And I know there was a question asked by George as to whether the Great Western franchise could be extended down to Fort Flonwood. And I did say quite bluntly that's a no-go. Mainly because, and again I feel like this needs to be a rule, franchise extensions are going to be almost impossible to monitor. Because at the end of the day you get a franchise when you support me on Patreon, and then if you start extending your franchise, it could potentially, so say you've supported me on Patreon just for a medium-sized franchise, and then you keep asking if you can extend it, and it eventually becomes a large franchise, you're kind of then cheating the system, because you're getting a large franchise for the price of a medium one. So I think if I want to extend a franchise, I will talk to the franchise holder about it, but beyond that, the franchise holder I don't think should be allowed to extend the franchise, which sounds harsh, but as I say, it just stops that kind of cheating the system feeling. The main reason why I rejected the idea of extending the franchise down this way is because Western Trains is going to operate this route. So that's a franchise that doesn't technically exist yet. I think I've chatted about it once or twice on stream. But basically there's going to be a franchise that goes from Sunnington. So previously the Western Reaches franchise operated from Sunnington down to Plindon Junction. That's going to be transferred over to Western Trains. All the trains from Sunnington that use these Western lines, so particularly this way through Honley Market and down towards Wenningpool Falls that way, that's going to be Western Trains. Or if it runs down the coast here to Wenningpool Falls, that's going to be Western Trains. Or down to Plindon, Western Trains. Anything that comes out of here that isn't cross country or those two Great Western services, they're going to be Western Trains. Anything that operates between Woolworth and Fort Flonwood that isn't cross country or cross region, that's going to be Western Trains. Just things like that. And even I'd say Western Trains' limit is probably going to be Guards City Centre Elizabeth, because there are going to be some services out of here that are going to use Padwood here, and then they're going to continue up this line and connect up with the North Valleys line and then run across to Honingville. That will either be a Great Northern service or it will be a Western Trains service. And also from Great Winfield Airport here, any trains that use this line here up through Wenfingfield and up this way that aren't cross country, cross region, they're probably also going to be Western Trains. I did wonder about making a Great Western service that used this, but I think Western Trains would be easier. A1, welcome. You might have just joined when the stream's about to end, actually, because no one suggested anything else to do. So I think we'll start wrapping it up. But if you wait like half an hour, 45 minutes, this stream will be available to watch as a video. Only one like I've noticed so far. That's a bit disappointing. But yeah, I think all this would be Western Trains or cross-country / region. I think we had a cross-region train use this, didn't we, from Sunnington. Plus, the bay platform here at Honley Market West will be Western Trains. So that'll be the service. It'll go Honley Market West all the way down this route here, through Canal Street, all the way down this route here to Gronville, and then along this way to Woolworth, and then down this way to Fort Flonwood, and that will be a Western Train service. No problem. For future reference, it's 7 PM UK time every week we start. So I mean, it's 8:45 now, if you can do the maths for the time differences. But yeah, it's the same time every week, so hopefully you won't miss us next week. But yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up for this this week. Cheers, A1. I'll see you next time. I will start streaming on Twitch again soon, by the way. RimWorld and Train Simulator and stuff like that. Now I've got the new PC. I need to get all the save files and transfer them over. And I might even live stream me building my game at some point as well. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, thank you very much everybody for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button if you haven't done so already, because last week was good in that respect. I'm just trying to... Whoops, that's not the right button. Let me get up the stats. So last week's stream, 7 likes, 118 views, 4 comments. The one before that was 153 views, 11 likes, which I think is the highest I've ever gotten in this series. 8 in the one before that, 3 in the one before that, 4, 1, 3, 4, 3, 7, 9. That came close. That was episode 19. 7, 4, 3. So it's consistently inconsistent, that's for sure. But yeah, getting more likes is a good way of helping the channel grow as well. So if you haven't liked the stream yet, or the video yet, be sure to do so. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button. If you have already subscribed to the channel, thank you guys for continued support. Thank you everyone in the chat for coming in and talking. It's when I go to say chatting and talking at the same time. Thank you everybody in the chat for coming in and talking. Thank you George, thank you Andy, thank you Frank, thank you A1. And yeah, thanks everyone once again, and until next time, I will see you soon.